Okay, welcome to laying out and framing a basic wall. So this is a basic wall frame. Okay, there's no doors or windows in here. It just has the studs, which are these vertical pieces, has the bottom plate, the top plate, and the top plate. Let me zoom in. The top plate and the double top plate. Okay, two different plates on the top. Now, let's talk about the spacing of these studs, which is 16 inches. But the question is, what does that mean, 16 inches? It's 16 inches. Let me grab the tape measure. It is 16 inches from the center of one to the center of the next one, okay? And so on. So let me go from the center of this one to the center of this one, 1'4" also. And then when you come to the end of a wall, it's a little bit different, okay? So instead of going from the center of this end stud, what we do is it's from the end of the wall. Okay, so from the end of the wall to the center of the first stud is 16 inches. So you see the difference? With these studs here, this one, this one, and this one, it's 16 inches from the center of one to the center of the next to the next. But at the end here, it's from the edge, okay, of that first one to the center of the first one is 16 inches. Like that, okay, 1'4". Why does that matter? It matters because when you take a sheet of plywood or a sheet of drywall like this, okay, which measures, let me grab a tape measure. These are 4 feet wide, okay, 4 feet wide. There we go, 4 feet wide. And in the case of a piece of plywood, it's 8 feet high, okay. Drywall also comes 8 feet high, but drywall is also available in longer lengths, 12, 14, 16. Okay, but a sheet of plywood is 4 by 6, 4 by 8, 4 feet by 8 feet. Now, how do these things go together? So you build a wall, and then when a piece of plywood goes on it, that piece of plywood, whoops. Okay, that piece of plywood, let me grab it right here and zoom out and put it on the wall. Okay, so this could be, I could be putting a sheet of drywall up or plywood, and I put it on like that. Okay, now, because these studs are all 16 inches, it has what we call 16-inch spacing, therefore the end of the sheet ends up being on the center of that stud right there. Let me go around the back side here, we have a look. Okay, so you see that? If that's plywood or drywall, it gets nailed to those studs or screwed to the studs, and it ends up halfway on this stud right here. Why is that important? It is important because if I take that sheet and I put a second sheet on, so let me copy this first sheet. Okay, so let me do this, and let me grab that, and I'm going to copy it. Okay, and I'm going to put the second sheet in place right down here like that. So I butt it into the first sheet that I put up. Now I have two sheets up, and the seam between those two, okay, the seam is over a stud. So this seam right here, both sheets can get nailed or screwed to the same stud, which is this one right here, okay? And that is the beauty of 16-inch spacing on studs, okay? Now let's draw a simple wall. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to draw a wall. And I put the dimensions here, okay? So the dimensions are just what I said. There's 1'4", you see this? It is 1'4", which is 16 inches, from the center of one stud over to the center of the next stud. That's the same dimension as if we were measuring from the edge of one stud over to the edge of the next stud. They're both 1'4", okay? Now, the first stud, remember what I said? I said the first stud is a little bit different. The first stud closest to the end of a wall is different, and it is 1'3¼ which is 15¼ from the end to the edge of that stud, okay, which if we take another line here, that's going to end up being from the end of the wall to the center of that first stud is going to be 1'4", which is the same as everything else. So you see the difference here. The difference is 1'4" from the end of the wall to the center of that first stud, but it's the end of the wall. It's not the center of this very first stud. It is the end of it, edge of it. And then 1'4" from center to center after that. Okay? So if I'm drawing this, let's just draw a very short wall. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to start drawing a wall. So let's say let's say I want to draw a wall that is maybe 8 feet long. Okay, let's do 9 feet long. 9 feet long. So basically, I'm going to type in 3.5, which is the width of a 2x4, comma 8 or 9 feet. Enter, and there it is. Okay, so that's a 2x4 lying flat, but we have to establish the thickness. So I raise this up 1.5. 1.5 like that, and all of a sudden we have a bottom plate. That bottom plate is a 2x4 because a 2x4 measures, tape measure, 3.5 inches wide like that. 3.5 by 1.5 like so. 3.5 by 1.5. Okay, now that's the bottom plate. I'm done drawing the bottom plate. There's nothing to add to it. Therefore, I'm going to triple click, 1, 2, 3, right click, make it a group, like so. Now I need to take the tape measure and I need to start drawing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my layout lines. So tape measure, I'm going to draw the layout lines. So come in here 1.5 inches, 1.5, enter, and that gives me the end stud. So I'm going to now draw this like so, and I'm going to raise it up. Now you raise it up however high you want it to go. Okay, I'm going to do 91.5. The reason I do 91.5 is because by the time all the plates go on there, bottom plate, top plate, double top plate, it's going to be an 8-foot high wall. So 91.5, okay, that gives me an 8-foot high wall. Next is I'm going to I'm done drawing that stud, so I'm going to group it. 1, 2, 3, right click, group. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of that line there, and I'm going to draw my the first stud along the wall. So there's my first stud on the end of the wall. Now I'm going to draw the first one on the end wall. Go over here and remember the dimensions over here. From the end of the wall to the center of the first stud is 1'4". Therefore, from the end of the wall to the edge of the first stud is 1'3¼ So here goes. I'm going to do that. Okay, I'll start right here, and I'll start drawing. 1'3¼ is 15.25, like that. Okay, and now I can take this. Now I can take this first stud, bring it over, copy it, and place it on there. The next one, tape measure. Now I'm going to measure over 16 inches. 16, enter. Okay, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this stud, bring it over, copy it, and place it on there. Okay, now here's the kicker. Watch down here in the lower right. I'm going to type X, which is times, and I'm going to, let's say 6 studs, times 6. Enter, and look at what it does. It puts studs in the wall for me all the way along, and all I have to do here is take this and bring it in to the end of the wall, like that. And I'm done. Okay, or I'm done putting the main studs in the wall. Okay, so listen, see if you can do that. Oh, I have to copy that. I have to create a top plate. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to grab the bottom plate, raise it up, copy it, and I'm going to go up to the top. Whoops. Up to the top, and I'm going to place it. There we go. Okay, and listen, that's the first stud. Okay, I'm sorry, that's just a very first basic wall. There's a few other things we have to add to it, but I'll do that next time, and that's it for now. Okay, take care.